Sunday, everybody, and welcome back to the Couchside Judges. I'm Scott Fontana. Follow me on Twitter at Scott_Fontana.
And I'm Dan Urban. Follow me on Twitter at @DanUrban. Follow the podcast at Couchside Judges and subscribe to us wherever you listen.
And if you like this show, give us that 5-star review.
And as always, we talk judging in MMA. Head on over to abcboxing.com to read the criteria, even though we, for this show, we're going to change it up a little bit.
That's right. For this particular episode, we are not going to be talking about live, not live, but the most recent big MMA of the weekend, because there was no UFC, there was no Bellator, there was no PFL.
There was no events with the unified rules.
No events with the unified rules on the major scene. Of course, there were plenty of MMA fights going on in the country, in the United States and abroad, that were using forms of it. But the big one for everybody's, I guess the big fight of the weekend, right, was One Championship, over in Singapore. They do things a little different. They don't even do round by round scoring. It's the fight as a whole. They have their own little criteria system, which isn't worth getting into on here. I think we've done it before, and it's weird, and yeah,
it's different.
But
I tried watching this fight with trying to keep the fight as a whole in mind.
Is that right?
It was difficult.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm just gonna watch it and enjoy it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I
window.
did. I didn't bother. I was like, I gave some minor thought to being like, well, what if I sat there and tried to score each round, like as if you were scoring it under ABC, round by round scoring, 10-point must. And then I was like, well, what's the point? Why don't I just watch this fun fight?
Yeah,
And so I did. I just watched this fun fight, and you know what? It was a fun fight.
It was a good fight. And in round 2, I thought Mighty Mouse was done.
Yeah, he looked like he was, especially with those knees on the ground from Adriano Moraes. He looked like they were going to be heading to real problem area. But he came back all right, especially once he got back to his feet. That was almost like the last stand for Moraes. He was still in the fight, I think, the whole way. But that was the point where it was like you never really saw him threaten again in to such a degree.
Yeah, he hurt him with the head kick, forced DJ to take a shot, and then got stuck in the front headlock position. Ate a bunch of knees, and DJ was able to weather it and kind of took over after that, after he ate Moraes' best attack, like you said.
Yeah.
So.
And of course, the knee of his own was what ended it. Beautiful knee, gorgeous knee. Walk off knee. He knew it was over. He knew what he did.
It was.
And I liked him describing it afterward too, with all the sound effects. It was like, it was great.
Yeah, Mighty Mouse is a character. I still can't believe how the UFC got such a raw deal in that trade. Insane.
But they didn't, though, is the thing.
They didn't? What do you mean they didn't? They lost the GOAT, basically.
Look, I don't disagree that the better fighter is over there, both
I wouldn't
currently
say the GOAT, but one of my Mount Rushmore, yeah.
He's one of the greatest fighters of all time, and he's still, especially because of what we've seen from Ben Askren since then, the fact he's not fighting anymore, he's the better fighter now. He was the better fighter at literally every single point this thing happened. But I think they made more money off this trade, the UFC did, as a result of it, because Ben Askren essentially created the version of Jorge Masvidal that made money for them.
I guess. I don't know.
I think they won the trade, but I also think one made out very well here because Mighty Mouse Johnson is most easily their biggest star abroad. I can't speak to the Asian market, but abroad, he's the one that everyone tunes into. I mean, this particular weekend, everyone was tuning in for him. But so I think everybody kind of won this trade. It's just the UFC got exactly what it wanted out of it, which was more money, even if it wasn't the way they intended it to be.
Here's how I see it. I don't tune in for outside UFC fights very often.
Correct.
I don't tune into Bellator to watch Mousasi fight, and he's regarded as one of the greatest of all time.
I mean,
but I will tune in.
One of the greatest probably is somewhere in the top 50
to DJ every time, no matter where he's fighting.
But that's because he's a top 5.
So that's how I see it.
He's a true legend.
Like I wouldn't tune in for just any random person, even if they were, top 15.
So what you're saying is because one also has Eddie Alvarez. He's not moving the needle for you.
I wouldn't go out of my way to watch one. If Eddie Alvarez happened to be on this card, I'll watch that fight too.
What if you had nothing else going on a Friday night, and then I was on another one of
I'd
those?
be on video
Amazon cards?
games. I'd be playing the show.
Okay,
It just doesn't do it for me.
fair enough. Fair enough.
But what I like about one, and this has to change. There's no reason we can't be kneeing people in the head on the ground in the UFC. This has to be a part of the unified rules. This I'm convinced, as long as knees to the head are legal, the most dominant position is the front headlock position. You can have the back all day long and just fight the hands. You're not in real danger. You take a shot as a reaction to getting hit in the head standing. Now you're going to eat a bunch of knees to the face. It's something that has to happen, I think.
Well, when you say it has to happen, you mean you really want it to happen, not it's something that is actually going to happen.
No, I think it has to happen.
Who's going to make it happen, though?
I don't know, but someone should make it happen.
I mean, you were at ABC, at least for the weekend portion. I mean,
I didn't do no rule changes or anything.
No, but that's the type of thing they're not going to be thinking about.
But they should be thinking about that. This is a major fight-changing, sport-changing rule.
12-6 elbows is a non-starter. I mean, this is the most no-brainer of no-brainers is to get rid of 12-6 elbow foul, and yet it's still going to be there for quite a long time, and it makes no sense. I feel like we're not getting anything different out of knees to the grounded opponent until at least 12-6 is gone. Then we can start moving on to other things.
Put them both in the same rule change, the same year.
But no one's going to get behind it because literally everybody's concern is safety.
Oh my god! But it's a part of fighting.
Look,
it would change everything.
I mean, you understand that when I say this, I'm pretty okay with the idea of adding that as a legal strike. I have no actual objections to the knees to the grounded opponent necessarily. It doesn't really bother me, but I just don't see a reality that's coming anytime soon, if ever.
Well, it needs to happen. Maybe one day I'll be the head of ABC.
When you say it needs to happen,
I'll
are you
make
making
it
a pun
happen.
here because it's a knee?
What?
It needs to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's too late to laugh at that.
That's all right. But, like we said, we don't have any live fights from the weekend. So what we like to do is we like to look back. We go back to a past fight for a segment we call Past Judgment. And we put our little spin on the scoring just for this particular segment where we have a little more fun, right? We go back, we look at a fight, we take the ABC scoring. Well, you know what, Dan, I don't want to steal the thunder. You're the one who likes to set this one up. Why don't you explain what we do for Past Judgment?
Really, we just stretch the definitions in 9s, 8s, and 7s. We scored it using ABC criteria based on effective striking and grappling, and the 3Ds, damage, dominance, and duration. 10-9 is a round where neither fighter checks off a D to a strong degree. 10-8 can be considered for 1D but must be given for 2Ds. And a 10-7 can be considered for 2Ds but must be given for all 3. The rare 10-10 is just for partial rounds and basically staring contests. We've eliminated effective aggression and area control because it's extremely rarely that judges use these anyway. What we think this does is provides a more accurate view of what happened in a fight.
Right. And we are going to be looking back on this particular occasion to a fight that I guess it has a little bit of meaning for you and I.
A little bit.
Because we both attended this fight separately.
Yeah, what year was this?
This was, I'll tell you everything about it, sir, when I set it up. And the fight in particular we are talking about is George St-Pierre defending his welterweight belt against Dan Hardy at UFC 111 in Newark, New Jersey, March 27th, 2010, at the Prudential Center, The Rock.
That was I want to say it was this event that Jim Miller was billed as from Whippany, New Jersey, which made me basically start thinking, hey, how far is Whippany from me?
Is that right?
It was. I don't remember if it was a TV or if it was in person.
Well, you were there, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this was the one where he fought against Mark Bocek.
Mm-hmm.
He was he had his back taken for quite a while.
First round.
That would be a fun fight, actually, to go back and say, well, maybe would we score it differently now?
Yeah, I remember he gets up and he was the one that was all pumped up because he didn't get submitted and survived, basically.
Yeah. The shoe on the other foot there. Mark Bocek was a damn good grappler, too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this fight was the first fight that I ever attended live in any capacity.
Yeah, it was a good one to attend, I think. We had John Fitch on the card, but what can you do?
That was actually not a good fight.
So,
no surprise necessarily, but yeah.
Was Frank Yeager on this card?
No, Frankie was
he fought the
not.
next card. That's right.
No, this was the co-main for this one was it was the interim heavyweight title fight because Brock Lesnar was out with diverticulitis.
Mm-hmm.
So it was Shane Carwin against Frank Mir, and that was where Frank Mir's like, oh, he's not going to take me down. He's not going to take me down. So it's like, okay, well, I'll just press him up against the cage, and then he gets his face smashed in.
Yeah, this I remember specifically because Frankie Edgar fights BJ Penn at 112. This was 111.
That's right.
So when this was happening, they didn't announce the card. They just announced they were coming in Jersey. I was like, this is perfect. BJ Penn's going to be there, and it's going to be awesome. And well, it didn't happen. So we got GSP though. So
in retrospect, they should have done it the other way around. They should have had the interim heavyweight title fight in April. I mean, obviously there's reasons these things happen and everything like that. But if you kind of look at it, it's like, it would have almost been cooler to have Frankie and BJ there because it was Jersey, right? And then you put the heavyweight title fight on the same card as the interim heavyweight title fight on the same card as Anderson Silva. Could have been fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing was, Abu Dhabi had strong influence over who was going to be fighting.
I believe they did. Yeah, so, and I think they liked BJ.
Yeah, at that time
they liked Anderson. They wanted those guys there, and I believe Damian Maia too because of ADCC, right?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so we're talking about UFC 111 here, though. We're talking about GSP against Dan Hardy. St-Pierre, of course, the GOAT, was coming into this fight at 19-2, making his fourth title defense since unifying his interim title with a win over Matt Serra 2 years earlier. Serra, of course, took the title from him. 28 years old at this point. He had most recently just defended his belt against Thiago Alves at UFC 100.
Mm.
That was one where he tore, they said on the broadcast for this fight, actually, he tore his adductor muscle in 3 places. And during the fight, of course, he told his coaches, I tore my adductor muscle. And they said, I don't care, hit him with it. I always love that one. Yeah. I like thinking about that one.
Mm.
Hardy, coming into this one, he was 23-6. He had a no contest on his record as well. 27 years old. Won his first 4 fights in the UFC and was on a 7-fight win streak. What's the good old days?
The good old days when a 4-fight win streak gets you a title fight.
Yeah, I know. Now you got to win like 30 in a row. He beat Mike Swick, actually, in a title eliminator the previous November, which got him this opportunity. In Manchester, too. Friendly territory for him because he hadn't fought in the United States in 4 years. Judges for this fight, Jeff Blatnick, Doug Crosby, and Cardo Urso. The referee, Kevin Mulhall.
Jersey
guy, yeah. And I should note, we actually don't have individual round scores for this one. But, spoiler alert here. St-Pierre wins every round. We're just talking about degrees. So, we can kind of speculate as we go which rounds we think maybe got the 10-8 from certain judges. But Dan, why don't we start with round 1 here? What's going on?
Yeah, so they stand for about 10 seconds, and then GSP takes him down, and he keeps him there.
It's a really long staring contest.
He ends up taking the back. He does try for a brief armbar from the back. I guess he didn't want to go for the choke, and Hardy just turns into him. GSP just jumps up to his feet and takes him back down again. He gets to the mount, then he's on the back again, and then he finishes the round with a really solid armbar attack here. It's really tight. Outside of that, I didn't think there was that much damage, but definitely outclassed his opponent here. I think it's 10-8. That armbar in live time looked different to me. It's like, oh wow, it wasn't that great live, but then when you watch the replay, it's like, wow, that was pretty tight. But I remembered it being crazier, I think, from 12 years ago at this point. Yeah.
How was your vantage point for that fight when you were there?
I was upstairs, so I had a bird's eye view.
Okay, so I was on the lower bowl, but I was kind of far back on the lower bowl.
Mm.
I remember that Mike Brown, who of course now is the one of the vaunted coaches at American Top Team down in Florida, he was very close to my section or at least he was walking through my section at some point. He was taking pictures with people. So back when he was, of course, an active fighter and still one of the best featherweights in the world.
Yeah.
Actually, was he the champion at even that point? He might have still been the champion at that point. He might have been before he lost to Aldo. Which is wild to think about, but. No, so you had what score for this round?
I'm 10-8 GSP.
I had 10-7. I did go the 10-7 because I think you obviously check off dominance here.
Yeah,
there's a total outclassing on the ground. Nothing happens from Dan Hardy. He basically does nothing.
Happens from Dan
just
Hardy.
About. And again, it's through the duration of the round here, pretty much. So I've got 2 Ds here already. Right?
Yeah, you can go there.
I can go there already. I do think I can start getting into damage high enough because you can account for the closeness of the armbar, right? I scored it a little heavier than you did, I think.
Yeah, when I saw it live, I didn't think it. I knew it was a good attack. I was like, well, but it doesn't look like he would tap from that though.
Having said that, like I went 7. I like my 7 here, but I can totally understand why you wouldn't get there to the 7 in full, because it's, other than that armbar, it really just, there's not a whole lot else.
That's basically the strongest argument I have, or reasoning I have for not going there.
And that's fair. If that's what you're saying, makes a lot of sense to me, why you wouldn't go there. But it's nice that we can kind of have that debate, whether it's, you got the option to go to the 8 or you can go to the 7, right? Either way, I think it still makes some sense and it's still defensible, right? Round 2, what's going on here? And actually, before we move on, we should probably, I would say this is definitely one of the rounds that could potentially have been a 10-8.
Yeah. I think there's...
I know what you're saying, but like, listen, think about where their positions are. I mean, you said on the replay it looked a little different.
Right.
Maybe it looked a little different to the 3-man cage side.
Sure.
So that's why I would say at the very least, this is in the running for being one of the 10-8 rounds.
Yeah.
So round 2 though, what's happening here?
Well, they're on the feet for a long time again. No, just GSP
big kickboxing round.
GSP just takes him down, moves to side control, but he's not really doing much damage here. He's just kind of controlling the position. Hardy's stuck. He's trying to Hail Mary strikes that aren't really doing anything. GSP ends up attacking another armbar, but Hardy ends up on top in GSP's guard. And he does actually land a couple decent shots here. Landed a nice elbow from the guard, but they're not there that long. Back on the feet, GSP's jab is being pumped out. He worked some solid jabs here. Landed at one solid right, and then he dumps him back on the ground again and kind of hangs out there till the round ends. So I don't think GSP did enough to get past the 9 here. It was decently... this was obviously the most competitive round, if you want to call it competitive.
in so much as a round in which Dan Hardy actually still landed no significant offense.
Well, I did think he had decent offense in the guard. I thought he had landed a nice elbow.
Okay.
So I'm 10-9 GSP.
I also went that way too, but I still think you can actually make an argument if you really want to for an 8 for GSP here too, because again, there's really nothing happening from Hardy. But I'm good with my 9 here. I like my 9 in this round. Not too much more to add here. So yeah, my score through 2 rounds, I have 20-16 for GSP, and you have 20-17. And really, at this point, even in our system, 20-16 it's very attainable to be able to come back in this fight.
Mm-hmm.
It's still hard, but there's room for it. There's room for it, right? Round 3, what is happening now?
Basically a wrestling clinic. There's really not much to say for he takes Hardy down and lands some decent ground and pound. Nothing crazy, no real fight ending blows or damage or sequences here. It's just a total outclassing in the grappling section. I'm on 10-8 GSP.
Yeah. I think he lands some pretty decent strikes in this round too, GSP from the because he's going for that ground and pound a little bit more. He's got the mentality of it. That was what they spoke about on the broadcast as well. The fact that Greg Jackson was saying, let's make this a round where we do that, focus on the ground and pound, that kind of thing. I think he did that to a degree. I think he was successful in executing what he wanted to a point. Landed some good shots. I think some of the better ground and pound style shots of the round or of the fight for GSP here.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm on the same plane as you. I think this is an 8. I think this is a solid round, a very good round for him. Just doesn't cross over anywhere else. So, yeah, 10-8. I have it 30-24 for GSP here. You have 30-25. Now we're getting into the point where it's like, okay, even through 3 rounds, you just don't see a whole lot of ways for Dan Hardy to come back. No. And granted, even if it was all 10-9s, you'd be saying the same thing,
But that doesn't represent the fight we're watching.
No. I think this is much more representative of the fight that we're watching, where we're saying, oh, wow, he's up by 6 points on the cards already. Like, yeah, that sounds right, And that's what we like about this. Round 4. What's going on now?
Well, spoiler alert, GSP takes him down again almost instantly.
I don't believe you. I don't think anyone at home who hasn't watched the fight would believe you.
It's kind of just crazy. Like he was just so far superior in the wrestling department this entire fight.
He was, but as much as you have to praise George St-Pierre for what he does, Mike Goldberg points out, you have to credit George St-Pierre.
Yeah, for winning, you got to credit George St-Pierre for being the fighter that wins.
Very Captain Obvious there. But yeah, they're being polite on the broadcast in praising Dan Hardy's wrestling. I don't think it's particularly good. I think it's a good mix of GSP's really good at the wrestling, and also Dan Hardy's just not very good at the wrestling.
Yeah, I have to agree.
And I'm not trying to be impolite. I think that's just the way it was.
Even in the post-fight, GSP is just so nice and congratulatory even to Dan Hardy for surviving.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, back to round 4. Takes him down, passes, gets the back briefly. He's holding Hardy down. He's landing some really good ground and pound, I think, this round, especially from side control, the elbows, the punches, and then he locks up this super tight Kimura. My arm started hurting from it. I thought he was going to tear it off. This was a sub I remember from so I was like, wow, how is he not tapping to this? His arm is behind his head.
It's funny. I actually remembered the arm bar better, the first round arm bar. That was the one that stuck in my head just for over time. I mean, of course, remembered all of it, but yeah.
I'm still in shock that he didn't tap to this. I'm at a 10-7 here.
He said, I don't know the meaning of tap, right? Is that what he said afterward? Yeah. But he's tapped out before. I mean, it's a good line, but yeah. But like, I mean, you got to stand by it a little bit. I don't know. But anyway, yes, we had a 10-7.
I like to think I wouldn't tap either to certain things, but I just know I would.
There is no way I'm not tapping before you Kimura me. I'm not breaking my arm or my shoulder. It's not happening.
Like that's thank you.
I
think I would rather tap. Like I would never let my arm get no garroted because that just seems brutal. But like I could see myself allowing someone to just toe hold me and snap my ankle.
Oh, sir. Ooh.
So
no, that's not
because
me.
I've had that happen where I didn't tap. But my ankle didn't break, but it started popping.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's not that bad. But the shoulder, once it reaches that point, it's very painful.
I find walking to be a really useful tool in my daily life, so I'm going to tap out to those leg locks. Yeah, that's the thing.
Well, no, like a knee, like a heel hook or something like that. Yeah, I'm with you. But like ankle lock, toe holds.
It's still going to make it hard for me to get around, and I just don't like that. I'm not about that life.
Right,
that's me. I think if there is a version of me that actually signs on the dotted line to get into, a combat sport situation where, it's not just like a Naga that I did, right? I did the Naga one time. I think the only thing that I could see myself allowing myself not to tap to would be, certain chokes, right? Because you go out, everybody knows how to get you right back. I have trust in the systems around me and the people around me to be able to make sure that I don't suffer any ill effects from going out from a choke. But I don't want to break my arm and I don't want to break my leg and I don't want to be walking around. I just don't want any of that. No more.
Well, fighters have different mindsets.
But that's the thing. Exactly. I'm not that. I know that. It takes a different breed. I'm fascinated by people who are that, but that's not me. To get back to the fight and my particular score, I also had a 10-7 for this round. I think that Kimura in particular, that really has to put it over the top. That's a big damage move, I think. So once you get damage in there, it certainly makes it a lot easier to give any more Ds, but I think you've got 3 Ds in this round.
Yeah.
I think this is one of those, of all the rounds, this is probably the one that absolutely had to have been a 10-8. I would think.
I would agree. Yeah.
From the scorecards. Now, granted, there was one judge in particular that actually did not give any 10-8s, and we'll get to that in a moment. But there were 2 judges who gave at least one 10-8 and one that gave 2. So I would think there's a decent chance that the 2 judges were aligned on a 10-8 in this, on a 10-8 in this round. Which of course here for us, that's a 10-7. Adds up to my score being 40-31 through 4 rounds. You have 40-32. We're not that far off. No matter what, it's very much Dan Hardy needs a Hail Mary to win here.
Oh, he needs more than a Hail Mary. So
he needs to pull out one of those, fake the left punch and then go for the left kick.
He needs a Leon Edwards knockout, yeah.
12 years later, one of his countrymen who is going to pull it off at welterweight, and that's Leon Edwards. But we're not getting that here with Dan Hardy. He was not going to be the English champion on this occasion. Round 5 ensured that. What happened in round 5?
Yeah, round 5 is another outclassing. Takes him down on the ground again. He does stand on the feet a little bit. He hit him with an outside kick and a punch. But
Yeah, it looked like
ultimately,
he was almost going to try and
yeah.
test out the striking for a little while.
But
Then he was just like,
ultimately,
nah.
you know what? Let me just stick to my bread and butter here.
Mm-hmm.
Dumps him on the ground. I think GSP landed some really good ground and pound this round. I thought he had good sub attacks. He was setting up that Kimura again, and then he would switch to the Razor armbar as, you know, Dan Hardy was defending. I thought they were solid attacks here. Coupled with the fact Hardy is doing absolutely nothing but just trying to survive. I think it's kind of really crazy how good GSP was. It was reminding me of that. It reminded me of an interaction I had sitting in my seat where there was a group of 4 British guys, or guys from England, that were there to support Dan, and they just knew that it was over. And the one guy just started yelling, "Come on, for God's sakes, Dan, just do something."
I remember these stories from you.
And I was like, yeah, he's not doing anything. I think he checks all 3 Ds here. So I'm on 10-7.
And this is definitely the first time that we've been this far apart, I think.
Yeah.
I have a 10-9 for GSP here.
Yeah.
I just didn't see the same. I mean, look, he absolutely won the round, and I think it's very easy to make an argument that he gets at least a 10-8 here. So I'm upon further review, I feel like, okay, at least I could go to an 8, but the 7's very hard for me in this round. I don't think I get there.
See, I think this was his best ground and pound round. This was from side control. The elbows and the punches were good. I thought the Razor arm bars were solid attacks, and it's just a total beatdown, really.
I tell you what I'm going to do. I am going to revise my score upon further thought. I'm actually going to go for the 8.
Okay, that's good because I kind of think it's a stronger round than round 1.
Yeah, I disagree. I do actually disagree on there. I really do.
I don't know.
I think there's a better attack here that gets closer to the finish in round 1.
But it's one attack.
Yeah, but I think we already have the 2 Ds anyway.
Yeah.
So that for me, that was more like icing. I was close to anyway.
Oof.
But then you get that. I think that was icing. So I just didn't see that in round 5 here. So we disagree here. We disagree on round 5. We disagree on round 1. I'm glad to have heard you kind of put more in perspective about what you thought happened in that round, because it does help me kind of push myself to that 8 that I really think I think I was to some degree underrating what GSP really was able to accomplish with the
You were
strikes
bored
in
of
that
it
round.
already?
Was I bored of it? I mean,
yeah, it's
look,
like, we've seen this. Do something new, GSP.
I mean, shoot. I won't rule it out. It's late. It's real late at night for you and me to be recording this show. But so
I've seen how this story ends before.
I will not,
Let's just go.
I literally did see this fight in person. So yeah, I knew how this ended. So yeah, I mean, that I won't rule that out. I'm not a judge. You know, we're now trained, but I'm also not a certified hired judge, licensed judge, right?
Yeah. Oh well, GSP won, and he won.
Yeah,
big.
he certainly
So-
did. And now, because again, I tweaked my score for this round, we actually ended up in the same final score of 50-39, which got there a little bit differently.
Which I believe the only other fight we've reviewed that got 50-39 was Habib and Ally Quinta.
You know what? I'll pull that up for you in just a moment, but I will tell you what the final scores were here. So again, it was 50-45, 50-44, and 50-43. Judge Urso had the 45. He didn't give any 8s. Jeff Blatnick, the late Jeff Blatnick, gave a 50-44, and it was Doug Crosby, a month before we realized that he was the judging genius, gave this one a 50-43. I can't fault him there. I mean, I certainly see how you'd get there depending on which rounds he's talking about. Maybe he was a genius at this point.
It could have been.
He
This
could
is
have
what
been.
made him the genius.
That's right. He felt emboldened. So what are we talking about here? Which round were we saying was or which fight were we saying was the 50 to?
Habib Ally Quinta.
That was, I can tell you because I'm looking it up right now.
And these were our scores, not official scores.
Yes, we both
so-
had 50-39. Of course, this is our past judgment CSJ criteria scoring. We both had 50-39 for Khabib. And that is this, so this matches that in terms of lopsidedness. And I think just like that fight, it has more to do with just the fact that GSP was so far ahead and the other guy did nothing. And same thing, Khabib for a long time, Ally Quinta did just about nothing. He couldn't get anything done. He was just getting smothered. It wasn't necessarily just a total beatdown, you know?
Yeah, but everyone kind of remembers that moment where Ally Quinta kind of, powers up.
Right.
And lands a couple strikes, and I'm like, oh, he's going to win.
We
And
did.
It's like, oh no.
We did actually have for GSP 50-40 against John Fitch, though. So this is
Okay.
the second one where
All right. Well,
GSP's gotten at least a 10-point victory in CSJ scoring.
that could.
I feel like we got to go back to a few more GSP fights just to see how many more of these he's put, because that's the thing I think people underrate when it comes to GSP is just how dominant he was over his competition. Not just that it was his I mean, he was dominant over the next challenger time after time after time after time. These guys weren't in the fight.
Yeah, they really weren't.
It's amazing.
I mean, BJ Penn won that first fight. No, I'm saying no. I mean, BJ Penn won, meaning the number one. That first fight, is probably the most competitive fight.
Oh, you're talking
that
about
we've
the
kinda-
championship fights?
Yeah. No,
What are you
there
talking
wasn't it was only a 3-rounder.
Oh, you're talking about the three, their first
That's one.
fight.
That's one of the fights where GSP looks human, kind of.
Sure. And I mean, look, we've seen
So-
him look human too. I mean, he lost to Matt Hughes early in his career. He lost to Matt Serra, of course. We all know that.
Yeah,
But
those were different though. It
once
wasn't BJ Penn.
once he lost to Matt Serra, he was a different fighter.
Well,
He-
something snapped in his head and
something
said,
snapped
"Hey,
in him. Yeah, he was a lot more.
I am." Poor Matt Serra. He took an absolute. That's one of the craziest TKOs I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Just drilling him to the body with knees.
he brutalized him. Wild fighter, but what an amazing fighter. Yeah, so I think we should revisit GSP and his.
Listen, I think we might be living in the next GSP right now. To be honest,
Who's that?
Bo Nickel. I have extremely high expectations, and people are telling me to temper them, and I just can't because I just see so much dominance in this kid, and I'm really excited to see where it goes.
I'm glad you feel that
So-
way. I'm going to myself rein it in a little bit.
No, I can't do it.
Hey, you do you, man.
Just-
I'm built a little differently than you. You know that.
Yeah,
But is he your next guy? Maybe you could latch on
he's
to.
probably gonna be my next
Yeah?
guy. Yeah,
All right.
because this is
Because I know you've been looking for someone to be your guy
I need
in
someone,
a
yeah.
post 209 era.
Well, we got one more with the 209. He'll.
Hey,
Did you see the
Nick
video?
Diaz is still under contract.
Did you
Yes,
see
I
the
saw
video? That's insane.
The video of when the
USADA
USADA
guy
guy
showed up?
came over. Hey, why not? Bet that guy didn't know what he was walking into that day.
Oh, he's
Not
like-
really. I mean, he knew, but did he know?
Yeah, he probably was like, "Oh, I got to do this. Someone want to switch with me?"
Or maybe he was more excited than he let on. Who
Yeah.
knows? But anyway, that is it for Past Judgment. Now we can look ahead to this coming weekend where the UFC is back. We had our little break. It was a welcome break for me. It was, my son's birthday the past week, so we had a fun
Happy
time.
birthday.
Yes, thank you. We went to Legoland in New York, which, by the way, Legoland, New York is like a solid 5 minutes from Shane Burgo's house.
Wow.
Yeah, I passed by Monroe, New York, where he lives, like on the way there. There's
Okay.
nothing up there. It's actually kind of nice out there, but there's also nothing.
Yeah.
Except
Mhm.
for it's Woodbury Commons, the
yeah.
outlets there. Yeah.
Familiar with that?
Yeah, it's like that's up there, and then there's Monroe, New York, and then it's Legoland. But there's no signs for Legoland. You just know it's there,
Mm.
and then you get there. But Legoland, the hotel, I have to tell you, was amazing
Okay.
because you actually stay in a themed room, which is obviously amazing for kids.
Yeah.
Ours was pirate themed.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So there was a scavenger hunt to be able to unlock the safe, which was like the treasure chest, and they had fun with that. Their little area, they had a little Lego setup, and it's a brand new building, so it was like you stay in a hotel, and this
Mhm.
like even like a new hotel is like 30 to 40 years old. This
Yeah.
hotel is 2 years old,
I did see.
so it's made with like modern sensibilities in mind, like from the ground up
I saw it in. I saw an ad for it. I was like, oh wow.
for the Legoland
Yeah.
hotel.
Like the whole. It's like a big
Oh, yeah.
resort.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun. It was a good time. And my boys had an amazing time.
Oh,
so
that's good.
that was the best part. My oldest too, his birthday it was. He kept on saying thank you, like just randomly. He would just say it like probably 5 or 6 times over 2 days, and it was just like, man, we really hit the nail on the head with this one. So, Father of the Year over here. I'll take my
There you
award.
go.
Make sure it's in the mail
Yeah, we'll
with
send that in the
those
mail.
couchside
Yep.
overnights. But UFC Paris, like get back to it. So we're looking ahead. UFC is finally having an event in Paris, in France.
Yeah.
They've been looking to break into this market for a very long time. Bellator's already been there a couple times, but now UFC's getting over there. Not a giant card either. I mean, there's some good fights on here, I think, but it's not the monster breakthrough that I guess I would have expected when they finally got to Paris.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, really. I thought they would try to do a pay-per-view level event. I thought they would put a pay-per-view there.
I think they would have if Gon would have been
If
fighting
Cyril
for the
Gane,
title.
yeah, absolutely.
Or
If
it
he
was the
was
champ.
Yeah, absolutely. But nonetheless, I think they could have done that. I think they wanted to. And ultimately, it's just my thinking on it is I think they wanted to get one over there and just didn't work out. So this is what we have. But yeah, it's a decent card, I think, for what it is. Cyril Gane, like we said, is going against Tai Tuivasa. It's a nice heavyweight matchup.
It's an interesting matchup.
Big potential title implications based on however the heck the heavyweight division shakes out, which, as we've spoken about before on the show, it's kind of a mess. I do like the fight, though. It's interesting.
I'm interested in it.
I want to see if what Tai Tuivasa's approach is going to be, because on the surface, you look at this and you say, okay, well, Cyril Gane he fights very smart, right? I think he's going to try and kind of pick him apart, drag him into the deeper water, right? But it only takes one with Tai, because this man hits really hard.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's similar in a sense with the Ngannou fight, because Ngannou hits very hard as well.
Yeah.
So,
there's similarities to here. There's similarities to Derek Lewis. I think Tai Tuivasa, though, is, he unlike Derek Lewis, he has fewer, let's say, physical limitations potentially based on like injury history and that kind of thing.
I would say this, of those three that we just mentioned, Tai's the most reckless, I'd say.
Yeah, which makes him a little bit more of a wild card.
For lack of a better word.
Yeah.
So
I think he's willing to make it more of a brawl.
Yeah.
He's
willing to eat some shots.
Yeah.
To get in there. Yeah, it'll be an interesting fight. This is a heavyweight fight that I can get up for. So.
It's worth more than one round.
Yeah.
But I would prefer it not go more than one round.
End it quick.
Just do it anyway. I'll give you 2 rounds before I start whining, right? It's a good one. This one being in France, of course. I expect that they'll probably bring in, some of the top European judges, maybe from England, maybe from, other parts of Europe. So maybe we'll see like the Ben Cartledges and David Leatherby's and those types of folks, but maybe also, Clemens Werner from Germany, who is, just an incredible judge too. I suspect there will be some local judges too that get some assignments too. It's just my supposition here. I think there were, if I recall, when Bellator was over there as well, which is good. I mean, give experience, sure. Hopefully, I mean, imagine, because this is in Europe, I'm not sure if France has a commission that's running this show. I meant to look into this, and because we moved up our recording a day early, I actually didn't get to research it. But Mark Ratner in the UFC, I imagine, will have a say in the way things work over there. That would be my suspicion, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But I have confidence in the officiating is what I should really get down to.
Yeah, I think it would be good.
Yeah. What else do you want to see here?
Well, the co-main's great. Robert Whittaker, Marvin Vettori.
I like it. I love this one. I like the card at the top. I think the 1-2 punch right here is really good. It's everything after that. There's things I like, but it's just it doesn't have as much like star power as I think they would have been ideal for their first event here, right?
Right, but it's got things that I love about fighters. Dustin Stoltzfus fighting right off of UFC Long Island. He's back on this card. Charles Jourdain is back on this card after fighting Shane Burgos in UFC Long Island. Pretty fun fight there at UFC Long Island.
Yeah, and Charles Jourdain against Nathaniel Wood. This is, I'm glad that Wood is up here at 145 now, but it's funny because, he looked the part of a big 135er, but not necessarily of a 145er.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious to see how he does against Charles Jourdain, who is most definitely a 145er and a dangerous one. So I think it's going to be a fun fight.
Yeah, this is going to be a good fight.
Which one are you more excited about of those, though? Do you like Whittaker and Vettori best? Or
I think so. Anytime the Reaper's in there, I'm pretty excited for him. I want him to fight more, though. That's my only knock. But yeah, and Marvin Vettori, I just love he's just always so angry, and you know what's going to happen.
I think that the tough thing with someone like Robert Whittaker, though, is how often can he fight when he's already beaten a lot of these guys, and like there's just not that many fighters who are really at that level. It's tough to match him up because he's in no man's land now. He's not going to get another fight against Israel Adesanya if he does, it's going to be a long time. He's going to need to do a lot of work. He's going to have to clear out everything again to even make a remote case to get a third fight. Even if people thought that second fight. So remember when there were people making the argument that Robert Whittaker won the second fight against Adesanya.
Yeah.
That was, I thought that was a little silly.
Yeah.
But,
I think I'm kind of against that whole notion, especially in a division that's kind of as weak
What
as
notion?
middleweight. That just because he lost twice already doesn't mean like he's won in like right at the top anyway.
Yeah, I guess I would still like to see him get several wins because I think there are other fighters who are coming up at 185 now who I wouldn't mind getting the chance to get over him because they haven't had their shot.
Yeah.
I mean, they still have to win maybe 1 to 2 more fights.
Right, but the thing is, I just don't like him kind of being stuck in the gatekeeper position for as long as he has to be.
That's just the way it works,
if he keeps winning these fights, and what's Izzy gonna do? Like, can't just keep putting him against the number 8 ranked middleweight just because that's a fresh fight.
Well, this one, of course, against St-Pierre makes a lot of sense.
This one's in, this has a story behind it.
It's got everything behind it. I mean, there's also the fact that he did just beat Sean Strickland, who pretty much everybody agreed was probably going to get the next shot with a win, and that would have made a decent amount of sense to do so. But there, I look at Andre Muniz coming up. He interests me as somebody who I honestly, and we're getting off topic here, but he interests me as somebody who potentially has the skill set to really give Israel Adesanya some challenges, some new looks at least.
Okay.
I'm not saying he'd win necessarily, but we haven't seen a fighter with his particular strengths come along.
It's going to be interesting.
Since he's become champion. I want to see what he can do, if he can get there. But I'm also actually interested in another middleweight fight, Nasruddin Imavov against Joaquin Buckley.
Okay.
Buckley's always fun.
Yeah, that knockout was great, but it's not on my list.
No, I mean, okay, that's a whole nother conversation. I'm just gonna let you have that one, but but nonetheless, he's getting some wins under his belt here, and Imavov is. I want to say he might be in the rankings somewhere too.
Yeah, Joaquin just fought at UFC Long Island. These are guys.
Joaquin Buckley was not at UFC Long Island, was he?
Yeah, didn't he win? He beat. I'm gonna pull it up for you.
As if I wasn't there. It's very late. Have we said that already? Because it is very late.
Yeah, he just beat
Albert Duraev.
Albert Duraev, yeah. No, that wasn't Long Island.
No.
My bad. That's not me, but whatever.
Haha, the letter to my friend.
What are you going to do? Whatever. He fought in June. He's fighting again now.
There you go.
So I'm happy for that.
Okay.
Also, Caitlin Chikagian was supposed to fight on this card. Then that got pulled.
That's right. It was going to be Manon Fiorot, right?
Was going to fight Manon Fiorot. And then that got scrapped. And then Caitlin was back in. And now that ended up getting moved to UFC 280. So
yeah, it was
kind of weird. Fior's.
So yeah, this is one. Card. This is definitely one that got messed up for that reason. So there would have been a little more strength to it, especially with local flair there. But it's unfortunate we couldn't have had more. But it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, it's always nice when we come off the break, at least for UFC, at least for me, because I feel refreshed. I'm much more.
Well, you're gonna like this more.
What am I gonna like?
The noon start.
Oh, it's a noon start.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Local time. Oh, I do like that. That'll be nice.
So I will not be around to watch it live, but
although now that I think about it, I'm going to a barbecue that day.
I'll be in Boston.
Or is it the next day? I don't know. I think it's that day.
I mean, it's kind of crazy they're going against college football for this big Paris card, but hey, I mean, you don't want to fight at 3 a.m. or whatever.
No.
Whatever time the UK area or Europe area.
Look, they're going to go into college football throughout the fall. They can't really avoid it.
They could fight on Wednesday.
Well, there's that too.
All right, that does it. Hope you enjoyed Past Judgment. We'll be back again on Monday to break down UFC Paris.
Get you some contested rounds for that one. We'll go back to the, of course, natural ABC scoring for that one.
Yes.
Hope you guys enjoy when we do this. It's fun. We're just having fun here,
yeah, it's right? A little different.
So thanks for listening, everybody. Enjoy your week.
Have a good night.